What do you think the adults are not doing enough of for the kids?
I mean, for me personally, I think it's encouraging the children to think for themselves. Encouraging, I think when you're, and I'm not a parent, right? So I'm speaking as someone who was raised by parents, right? So that's mostly where my
Yeah.
perspective comes from. But don't raise your children to be children. Don't raise your children to be adults. Raise them to be people, right? Thinking people. Because your children are going to encounter bullshit. They're going to encounter manipulation. They're going to encounter coercion. And I think sometimes there's such a strong emphasis on teaching the child to respect you, who is the authority, the parent, that when they go out into the world, they find the surrogate parent, the surrogate authority, whether it's Farrakhan or whether it's somebody else who's telling people. I think Louis Farrakhan says a lot of smart stuff too. I personally find him likable, right? Like you said, he says some stuff that doesn't really go over too well these days, but the man is pointedly correct on a lot of issues, and that like you can feel where he's coming from, and it's hard to find fault with him for coming from that place, but it's like, if I were raising a child, I would encourage that child to question me, because they're not questioning me, they're questioning authority. And if they question authority now, if they learn how to do that, if they learn how to stand up for themselves, then I believe that they'll continue to do that moving forward. It's this whole idea too that like you want small government, right? Because even if your party's in power now, well, your party's probably not always going to be in power, and all that power that you accumulated is going to shift over to the other side. And in the same way, it's like, I want my kids to be obedient when I got to deal with them. But I also want them to have a little bit of pushback, and I want them to feel comfortable challenging authority, and I want them to think for themselves. And I want them, if I'm kind of bullshitting them a little bit, or if I'm just telling them to do something because I said so, I want them to ask for a deeper explanation than that, and to really want to understand where the authority is coming from when they're telling them what to do. That's what I would do.
Yeah, and sometimes I think that some kids that get that, but I think sometimes that can translate into like just defiance for the sake of defiance.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And
I think it's probably true.
I'm certainly seeing that amongst like the woke kids, like on TikTok. Like I'm always like looking in the culture. I always have my head deep into how people are reacting, and you do the same thing. And a lot of people are like, they're taking what you're saying. So here's what I think a big problem is: they're understanding what you're saying, but they're perverting it. So they are going to go. So they're not just going to listen to everything what people are telling them. They're going to just not listen. So they're going to go out and they're going to listen to people, but they're not going to listen to them.
Right.
They're going to change things about themselves, but they're not going to change like themselves. Like, they're like perverting the whole entire thing. Then they turn like into like woke zombies, and that's exactly what we're seeing.
Right.
And I think something that the adults can do is just practice a little bit more integrity. Like we have to set examples. Mm-hmm. And like I've seen I've been so awoken. I've been so awakened in 2020 to some adults. Like I'm only 23 years old. I just turned 23 a couple months ago. Actually, not a couple months ago. It was in February. And just I consider you an adult. But some of the things that I just see I see grown adults tweet, and I see grown adults say, mm-hmm. I'm looking at that like, how in the hell, like, why is it a surprise that the kids are so fucked up?
Right.
Like, why is it so surprising that kids don't know how to think, and they don't know how to act, and they don't know how to listen, and they don't know how to be people? Like, why is it a surprise when you go on Twitter and grown adults are saying smash the patriarchy? Like, grown adults are saying things like that. Mm-hmm. It's really, I don't know what to make of it.
I mean, I think it's a mistake to assume that age results in maturity. I think that's
that too.
That's they're seeking a response. I mean, to me, it's no different than a person that posts a picture of themselves, without any clothes on or whatever. Like, if you do that, what are you doing? You're looking for a response. Now, I mean, is it good or bad? Whatever. But it's obvious. You're not putting that picture out there to not be noticed, to not get a favorable reaction. And in the same way, when people say things like, as soon as I identify something in the same way that, like, you police your thoughts to not say things that are to get you in trouble. It's not really hard to do a little calculus and figure out what's probably going to get positive feedback from the group that you're in, the group that you're trying to kind of, climb the social ladder in. And if, smash the patriarchy is going to get a lot of unthinking applause, you don't have to, that's like
a lot of impulsive responses.
That's right. Yeah. Then you just do it. Now, the thing that I don't understand is how anybody in that circle can see that and not recognize how utterly transparent it is, that's a pandering kind of maneuver in the vast majority of cases. I mean, let's say, for example, that the patriarchy is a thing and it's bad and it needs to be taken apart or replaced or whatever. Just for the sake of just this example, let's just pretend that that's true. I would still have contempt for somebody who didn't say anything more about it than smash the patriarchy. I mean, that's still, where's my hammer? What the hell does that mean practically, functionally? I mean, if you're saying something important, you're going to have multiple things about that to say, and you're not contributing anything by just putting something out there that's essentially like a rallying cry or something like that. You're just signaling to them, they're signaling to you. And it's just stupid. Yeah, it's stupid. And I think that helping people to see, like, that's stupid, right? And I think the important thing is when people like you or me believe that kind of thing is stupid, to not say nothing, to say that's stupid.
Yeah, that's I think another thing, we have to continue to call out this bullshit when we see it, because if we don't have, kind of like how, when you were in school and your professor was saying, oh, don't say that, like, we have to not care about the ramifications for telling the truth. Rather, if we get canceled or we get banned or whatever, like, we can't let that stop us from telling the truth, because once the fear of offending anyone supersedes the desire to tell the truth, like, just throw society away. It's just Soviet Union all over again.